WGAN Forum Podcast number 63. Wednesday, February 16, 2022.
This WGAN Forum podcast is sponsored by the We Get Around Network Forum, your source for Matterport and related 3D and 360 platforms, cameras, and third-party add-ons. Visit WGANforum.com.
Real estate investors are buying a record share of U.S. homes. Investors bought 18.4% of the U.S. homes that were purchased in the fourth quarter, worth a total of nearly $50 billion. Seattle. Wednesday, February 16, 2022. Business Wire. NASDAQ. RDFN. Real estate investors bought a record 18.4% of the homes that were sold in the U.S. during the fourth quarter of 2021, according to a new report from Redfin, www.redfin.com, the technology-powered real estate brokerage. That's up from 12.6% a year earlier and a revised rate of 17.4% in the third quarter. Although investor market share hit a record in the fourth quarter, the number of homes bought by investors declined 9.1% from the third quarter peak, but it's up significantly from pre-pandemic levels. Investors bought 80,293 homes in the fourth quarter, up 43.9% from a year earlier. The housing supply crunch constrained home sales for all homebuyers, including investors. The drop from the third quarter is also due partly to seasonality. The number of homes bought by investors jumped throughout 2021 as home prices rose rapidly. They were up 15% year over year in December, alongside a shortage of homes for sale. Investors are taking advantage of intense demand for rentals and increasing prices, with the average monthly rental payment for a new lease up 14% in December. Just over three-quarters, 75.3%, of investor home purchases were paid for with all cash in the fourth quarter. While record-high home prices are problematic for individual homebuyers, they're one reason why investor demand is stronger than ever, said Redfin economist Shahryar Bakhari. Investors are chasing rising prices because rental payments are also skyrocketing, incentivizing investors who plan to rent out the homes they buy. The supply shortage is also an advantage for landlords, as many people who can't find a home to buy are forced to rent instead. Plus, investors who flip homes see potential to turn a big profit as home prices soar. Investors buying up a record share of for-sale homes is one factor making this market difficult for regular homebuyers, Bakhari continued. It's tough to compete with all-cash offers, and rising mortgage rates have a smaller impact on investors because they often don't use mortgages at all. If home price growth slows in the coming year, investor demand may cool down because rental price growth will slow too. In dollar terms, investors bought $49.9 billion worth of homes in the fourth quarter, up from $35 billion a year earlier. The typical home investors purchased sold for $432,971, up nearly 10% from a year earlier. Mid-priced homes were nearly as popular with investors as low-priced homes. Mid-priced homes are gaining popularity with investors, representing 32.3% of their purchases in the fourth quarter, a record high and up from 24.1% a year earlier. Low-priced homes are still more popular than more expensive options for investors, but not by much. Low-priced homes made up 37% of investor purchases in the fourth quarter, a record low and down from 44.5% a year earlier. Meanwhile, high-priced homes represented 30.7% of investor purchases, up slightly from 30% in the third quarter, but down slightly from 31.4% a year earlier. Lower price points are still popular with investors, and I don't expect that to change. One of their main goals is still to buy low and sell high, Bakhari said. But investors are also increasingly interested in higher-priced properties, partly because there's a lack of low-priced inventory and partly because they're betting on rising demand for high-end rentals. Single-family homes represented 3 in 4 investor purchases. Single-family homes made up about three-quarters, 74.8%, of investor purchases in the fourth quarter. That's near the highest level on record, essentially tied with the third quarter, 75%, and up from 72.2% a year before. Condos and co-ops made up 15.4% of investor purchases, down from 17.8% a year earlier and 16.1% in the third quarter. Townhouses represented 6% of investor purchases, up from 5.3% a year earlier, and multifamily properties made up 3.8%, down from 4.7% a year earlier. Investors had the biggest market share in Atlanta, Charlotte, and Jacksonville. Investors had the biggest market share in relatively affordable Sunbelt metros. In Atlanta, 32.7% of homes that sold in the fourth quarter were bought by investors, the biggest share of the 40 U.S. metros in Redfin's analysis, and in Charlotte it was 32.1%. They're followed by Jacksonville, Florida, 29.8%, Las Vegas, 29.2%, and Phoenix, 28.4%. Investor purchases more than doubled from last year in Jacksonville, with a 157% year-over-year increase, the biggest jump of the metros in this analysis. It's followed by Las Vegas, 105.5% year-over-year increase, Charlotte, 92.8%, Baltimore, 83%, and Atlanta, 74.4%. Investor purchases increased from the year before in all but 4 of the metros in this analysis: Seattle, Nassau County, New York, Newark, New Jersey, and Warren, Michigan. Just over 6% of Providence, Rhode Island homes that sold in the third quarter were bought by investors, the smallest share of the metros in this analysis. It's followed by Washington, D.C. 7.8%, Warren, Michigan, 8.2%, Virginia Beach, 8.6%, and Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, 8.6%. To read the full report, including additional charts, data, and methodology, please visit www.redfin.com/news. About Redfin. Redfin, www.redfin.com, is a technology-powered real estate company. We help people find a place to live with brokerage, instant home buying, iBuying, rentals, lending, title insurance, and renovation services. We sell homes for more money and charge half the fee. We also run the country's #1 real estate brokerage site. Our home buying customers see homes first with on-demand tours, and our lending and title services help them close quickly. Customers selling a home can take an instant cash offer from Redfin, or have our renovations crew fix up their home to sell for top dollar. Our rentals business empowers millions nationwide to find apartments and houses for rent. Since launching in 2006, we've saved customers more than $1 billion in commissions. We serve more than 100 markets across the U.S. and Canada and employ over 6,000 people. For more information or to contact a local Redfin real estate agent, visit www.redfin.com. To learn about housing market trends and download data, visit the Redfin Data Center. Source: Redfin via Business Wire.